Eric opened his eyes slowly. His head hurt. The lights above him were too bright, and everything smelled like metal and smoke. His arms were tied, his legs too. He was lying on a cold metal floor, inside some kind of cage. He tried to move, but the chains rattled. That's when he remembered the mission. His team, the blast. The sky had turned green. Then nothing. Now he was here. Eric wasn't on Earth anymore. He looked around. There were other cages empty. He was alone. The walls around him were curved and glowing. This wasn't a human ship. It was alien. Suddenly, heavy footsteps echoed through the hall. Something big was coming. Eric held his breath. A shadow passed the cage, then moved on. Then came smaller footsteps. Softer, quieter. He turned his head. There, standing in front of the cage, was a girl, not a human girl. An alien. She looked young, maybe Eric's age, with smooth blue-purple skin that shimmered under the lights. Her eyes were bright yellow. Her long hair was silver like moonlight. She wore strange armor, but it looked light, almost like robes. She wasn't like the others. She didn't look cruel. She didn't carry weapons. She looked curious. The girl stared at him for a long moment. Then, without saying a word, she reached into a small bag and pulled out a silver cube. She pressed a button on it. The cube turned into food, actual food. Warm, steaming, and smelling like bread. She pushed the food through a small gap in the bars. Eric looked at it, then at her. "Why?" he asked. His voice was dry. The alien girl tilted her head, like she didn't understand. Eric pointed to the food. "Why give me this?" She blinked, then spoke. Her voice was soft, a little unsure. "You are ... not food. So you must eat." "Yes?" Eric stared at her. "Not food? What do you mean, not food?" he asked carefully. She stepped back a little. "Most males during mating season are eaten after. But you are strange. You speak. You ask questions. You have fear in your eyes, but not the fear of prey." Eric's heart pounded. "Wait, eaten after what?" She looked confused. "After mating. Is that not your way?" Eric shook his head. "No, not even close." The girl's eyes widened. "Your species does not eat your mates?" He gave a bitter laugh. "No, we love them, care for them, protect them." Now she stepped even closer, her face full of wonder. "Love," she whispered. "We have no word for that." Then she leaned closer to the bars. "My name is Rila. I am daughter of the High Fang. I should not be here. If they find me feeding a male, I will be punished." Eric looked at her seriously. "Then why are you helping me?" She looked down at her hands. "Because you didn't scream. You didn't beg. You just looked at me like I mattered. No male here does that. Even our own kind only run or cry. But you spoke." She stood up. "That is different. You are different." Eric's voice turned soft. "Rilla, thank you." But just then, the hall echoed with a loud, sharp horn. Rilla froze. She grabbed her bag and ran back toward the shadows. Eric wanted to call after her, but the door opened with a slam. 4 alien guards marched in. They had spears that crackled with energy. The biggest one snarled, "You have been chosen for testing. If you live, you may breed. If not, you'll feed the young." Eric felt cold inside. "What testing?" the guard laughed. "To see if you are strong or just soft human meat." They opened the cage. Eric stepped forward slowly, but in his mind, he didn't feel fear. Not just yet, because he remembered Rila's eyes filled with questions. And for the first time since he got here, Eric had a reason to survive. Opening hook, Rila's face stung. Sharp hand had struck her across the cheek twice. Blood, blue and thin, ran from the corner of her mouth. She didn't cry. She didn't scream. She stood tall. Behind her, a row of alien elders watched from their golden seats. Their eyes were cold, filled with judgment. In front of her, Her own father, the High Fang gripped the long staff covered in glowing teeth. You gave food to the human? He growled. Rila nodded once. You fed a male who is not of our kind. During mating season. Do you know what that means? She stayed silent. Say it, he barked. It means, I must be punished, she whispered. Gasps filled the room. Even for their violent culture, this was serious. A female feeding a male without claiming him as prey? Unheard of. Her father raised the staff high. Then punishment you shall have. But just before it struck, Rila looked up. I didn't want to eat him, she said. I wanted to understand him. The elders muttered among themselves. Her father's hand trembled. He lowered the staff, confused. Rila's voice became stronger. He is not weak like prey. He speaks like a leader. Like you once did. Her father's eyes narrowed. Enough. You will never speak to that creature again. But Rila already knew she would. Back in the holding area, Eric sat. On the floor. His shirt was torn. His lip was bleeding. The test had been brutal. They threw him into a pit with a wild beast, some kind of horned lizard. He survived only because he grabbed a piece of broken pipe and stabbed it in the eye. Now, guards watched him closely from behind a force shield. He leaned back against the wall, breathing hard, and then he saw her. Rylah. She appeared in the shadows, walking with a limp. One side of her face was bruised. Eric's heart sank. What happened to you? I was warned, she said quietly. Then hit, for helping you. You shouldn't be here, he whispered. I know, she replied. But I had to see. To see what? If you were still alive. They both stayed quiet for a moment. Then she sat on the other side of the force field. You told me something? About love, she said. What does that mean? Eric smiled weakly. Love is when you care about someone more than yourself. You want them safe, happy. You don't want to hurt them. Rila frowned. But what do you get from that? Eric shrugged. Peace, joy, connection, family. Rila blinked slowly. We do not have those words in my language. You should, Eric said. They matter. She stared at him, deep in thought. Then she said something strange. My people say males exist only for two things, mating and meat. Eric raised an eyebrow. And what do you say? I say, maybe they're wrong. Suddenly, loud footsteps approached. Rila stood up quickly. The force field dropped. 4 armored guards came in. They looked from Eric to Rila. One of them stepped forward. The human male is to be presented tomorrow before the arena. The High Fang has declared it. Eric tensed. Arena? Rila's eyes widened. No, she whispered. They're putting him in the trial of proving. What's that? Eric asked. A test, she said. One where you either kill or be killed. And if you win. If I win? Eric asked. She looked at him, her eyes glowing. Then by our law, I become yours. That night, Rila returned to her chambers. She stared at the wall, heart beating fast. Her world was breaking apart. Everything she had been taught about males, about humans, about her role felt wrong. Why didn't the human hurt her when he had the chance? Why did he speak gently, even when she was cruel? Why did her heart feel heavy when she saw blood on his lip? The answer scared her, and yet, it also made her feel alive. Inside his cell, Eric tied his torn shirt into bandages. He was tired, but not broken. He wasn't going to die here, not without showing Rila and the rest of them that humanity was more than meat. Tomorrow they would see, and so would she. The drums were made from bone. They echoed through the stone arena, slow and heavy, like a heartbeat before death. Thousands of aliens gathered under the red sky. Some hissed, others growled. They all stared down at the arena below. They weren't here for sport. They were here for blood. Eric stood shirtless in the center of the sandpit, breathing slow, fists clenched. A bright red mark had been painted across his chest. Challenge mark. He had one weapon, a long curved blade. He hadn't asked for it. They gave it to him anyway. He didn't want to use it. Then, from behind the thick black gates, she stepped into the light. Rylah, not dressed like before. No robes, no soft face. Now she wore full armor of her people, black and sharp, like the fangs of a beast. But her eyes, they were still hers. Full of fear, full of pain. She was holding a spear. Earlier that morning, Rila had screamed at her. "Father, you said the trial would test his strength, not me." Her father simply growled, "He is an outsider. If he wants your hand, he must take it by force." "That's not our law," she shouted. "It is now," he said. "Unless you wish to return to the breeding pens with the other males." Rila clenched her fists. Her claws pierced her skin. "He is not like them. That is why he is dangerous." Back in the arena, the horn sounded. A deep boom. It meant, "Begin." Rila stepped forward, spear shaking slightly in her hands. Eric stood still. "You have to fight me," she whispered. He said nothing. "Eric," she said again louder. "They will kill you if you don't fight." Still, he didn't move. Instead, he dropped the blade. The crowd gasped. Eric raised his hand slowly. "I will not hurt you." Rila's eyes filled with panic. "There. Watching, you have to at least—" "I don't care," he said. "I don't fight people I care about." She froze. The word hit her like a lightning bolt. Care. He cared about her? But before she could answer, her father's voice boomed across the arena. "Enough stalling. Prove your strength, Rila. Strike." Rila looked up. Everyone was shouting, now demanding blood. She looked down at the spear. Then at Eric. She threw the weapon to the ground. Silence. Rila walked to him, chest rising fast. "I won't hurt. You either." The crowd roared in anger. "You're going to get us both killed," Eric said. "Then we die together," she whispered. Suddenly, guards jumped down into the arena. Spears ready. Teeth bared. One aimed for Eric's heart, but Rila moved first, blocking the strike with her arm. She screamed as the blade cut through her armor. Eric caught her as she fell. Her blood hit the sand. The High Fang stood, furious. "She has broken tradition. She's no longer my daughter." Eric stood, holding her close. "You think strength is only in killing?" he shouted up. "Then you've never known what real strength is." He lifted Rila's bleeding arm and wrapped it with his shirt. "She protected me. She fought her own kind for what she believed in. That's more courage than any of you sitting up there." The arena fell silent. Even the guards hesitated. Some of the aliens in the crowd looked at each other, not with hate, but confusion. The High Fang growled in rage. "Kill them both." But no one moved. Not yet. Because for the first time, they saw something strange. Something new. A female and a male standing side by side, without chains, without claws, without fear. And the world didn't fall apart. That night, they were locked in a small chamber together. Rila winced as Eric cleaned her wound. "You're lucky that guard missed the artery," he said. "Unlucky you didn't run," she whispered. "I said I wouldn't hurt you," Eric replied. "And I meant it." She looked at him. "No male has ever done that before." "Well," he said with a smile, "human males don't eat their mates." Rila gave a soft laugh. "Maybe your kind isn't so weak after all." They sat in silence. Then she whispered, "They will come for us tomorrow, I know. We might not survive. I know that too. But I don't regret anything. Neither do I." And for the first time since they met, they held hands. No blood, no fear, just warmth. Rila stood inside the war room, alone. The doors were sealed. The lights were red. A countdown flashed on every screen. Evacuation in 10 minutes. Self-destruct. System active. Outside the ship, chaos had begun. Rebels from other clans had started a revolt. They had seen the arena that day. They had seen Rila protect the human. And something inside them had changed. Rila's people, once proud, once feared, were now divided. But she didn't care about that. All she cared about was one thing. Where is he? Earlier, the guards had dragged Eric away. He had been unconscious. His hands were tied behind his back. He had lost too much blood after protecting Rila. In the arena, the elders wanted to study him, learn what made a human so strong, so dangerous. They called him the soft male who refuses to die. But no one expected Rila to come back for him. No one expected her to betray her own blood. Now back in the war room, Rila took a deep breath. Her fingers moved quickly. Across the glowing control panel, she had stolen a high officer's key. She hacked the map. Found the prisoner wing, Section 9, lower deck. Behind the fuel chambers. Eric was there. "Hold on," she whispered. "I'm coming." Meanwhile, Eric woke up strapped to a cold table. Metal bands held him down. Machines beeped near his head. Bright lights stung his eyes. 3 alien scientists stood around him, clicking tools, preparing to slice into his brain. "This male is unique," one said. "He protects instead of attacks. Strange, dangerous. Remove the top layer of skull." "Begin." Crash. The door exploded open. A smoke grenade rolled inside. Screams. Chaos. From the smoke, a shadow appeared, fast and sharp. It was her. Rylah. She moved like lightning, slamming one scientist to the ground. She kicked another into the control panel. Sparks flew. She ran to Eric and pressed the release. The straps opened. Eric groaned. "Rila, you're late," she joked, helping him sit up. He smiled weakly. "You always show up during surgery?" She laughed once, then helped him up. "Come on, we only have a few minutes." They ran down the narrow halls together. Flames burst from cracked walls. Sirens screamed. The whole ship was falling apart. "This isn't just escape," Eric said. "You blew up the core, didn't you?" "I had to," Rila replied. "They were going to use you, then start war with your planet. Remind me never to make you angry." They reached the hangar. Rila unlocked a small shuttle, a scout. Ship. Inside was only room for one pilot. She stopped at the door and looked at him. "Get in," Eric frowned. "You're flying with me, right?" She shook her head. "I can't if I go. They'll hunt us both. They're already hunting. US, but if I stay behind, I can cover your launch. Buy you time." "No." "Yes." Eric grabbed her hand. "I'm not leaving without you." She stared at him, eyes wide. "No male has ever said that to me," she whispered. He leaned closer. "That's because you've never known a human." Suddenly, blasters fired from above. Enemy guards flooded into the hangar. Rila pulled Eric behind cover. "Go," she shouted. "No, not without you." "I said go." But just then, an explosion knocked both of them back. Rila hit the floor hard. Everything went blurry. She woke up inside the shuttle. Her head ached. Her vision spun. Then she saw Eric flying. "You brought me with you," she whispered. "Yeah," he said with a grin. "I don't take orders well." The ship broke through the clouds. Behind them, her mothership exploded into a ball of fire and smoke. The shockwave shook their tiny ship, but they held steady. Free. Later, inside the quiet of space, Rila stared out the window. "I can never go home again," she said. Eric placed a hand on her shoulder. "Then make a new one." "With you?" she asked. He smiled. "If you want." She turned to him. "I think I do." The crash wasn't quiet. It roared like thunder through the alien jungle. The shuttle slammed into the trees, tearing through branches like paper. The nose hit the ground first. Metal twisted. Fire sprayed out from under the wings. Then, silence. Single bird shrieked in the distance. Thick green vines wrapped around the broken ship. Smoke rose into the sky. Inside the wreck, Eric didn't move. Blood dripped down his forehead, then gasp. He sat up with a sharp breath. His chest hurt. His back burned, but he was alive. Barely. Rila? He croked. No answer. He turned his head and saw her slumped over in the co-pilot seat, not moving. No, Rila. He crawled over the broken controls and pulled her close. Her skin was pale. Her chest barely moved. Stay with me, he whispered. Please. He didn't care about the burning metal or the jungle outside. He only cared about her. Hours passed. The sun never fully rose on this planet. Just a deep orange glow through the mist. Eric had dragged Rila out of the ship and made a shelter using what he could. He used a metal wing to form a roof. Bark and leaves became a blanket. He wrapped her wounds with his shirt. He didn't sleep. Instead, he stood at the edge of the shelter with a sharpened piece of metal in his hand, watching the shadows. The jungle was alive, and it didn't. Like them. Strange growls came from the trees. Eyes blinked in the dark. Insects as big as dogs hissed in the leaves, but Eric didn't flinch. I've survived worse, he muttered. Come on then. But nothing came. The jungle was testing him. The next day, Rila finally woke up. She blinked slowly, her voice dry. Where are we? Safe, Eric said. For now. She tried to sit up, but pain shot through her side. Eric gently pushed her back down. Easy, you cracked a rib. You stayed? She asked. He laughed softly. Of course I stayed. What kind of human would leave his friend behind? Rila looked at him for a long time. You're not like our males, she whispered. No, he said. And you're not like the monsters they tried to make you. Over the next few days, Eric built a camp. He made a fire using stone and spark wire. From the wreck, he caught food, small creatures that looked like glowing lizards, and cooked them over flame. He found clean water dripping from giant flowers. Rila watched from the shelter. Amazed. You don't kill to dominate, she said. I kill to survive, Eric replied. Big difference. You don't see me as weak because I'm injured. I see you as strong because you're still here. That night, something came, a beast 10 feet tall, with 6 legs and glowing tusks crept into the camp. It sniffed the air, growled low. Rila screamed as it lunged, but Eric was ready. He rolled under the beast and stabbed upward with a sharpened bone spear. The creature howled and ran off, bleeding. Eric stood over Rila, chest heaving. You okay? He asked. She stared at him in shock. You didn't run. No, he said, and I never will. Later, as they sat by the fire, Rila leaned against him. She didn't speak for a long time. Then, quietly she asked, what would you do if this was your home now? Eric thought about it. I'd build something better, he said. Something peaceful, a place where no one eats anyone. She laughed gently. That sounds impossible. Only if we let it stay that way. She looked up at him. Would you teach me how to live like a human? He smiled. First lesson, no more hunting your mates. She smiled back. Deal. Far away, deep in the jungle, glowing eyes watched. Group of wild natives, alien, but smaller, whispered in their own tongue. Strangers. One said, but they do not fight like the others, another whispered. They are different. They vanished into the trees. Something had begun. The jungle had felt it. The universe had felt it. Too. Beings once enemies were building something new. Together. Eric collapsed into the mud. His breath came fast, shallow. His eyes rolled back. His body shook. And then he stopped moving. Rila dropped to her knees beside him. No. She turned him over. His lips were pale. His skin was cold. Just an hour ago, they were laughing by the fire. He had caught a jungle fruit and made a joke about alien bananas. Now he was dying. The bite on his leg was turning black. The creature that bit him had long fangs and a burning stinger. She'd never seen anything like it before. And Eric, he didn't even scream when it struck him. He had only said one thing before collapsing. Don't let me die here, not alone. Rila's hands trembled. She had no healing tools, no medicine. No tribe. No help. Just her and him. She looked at the jungle around them, dark, full of death. Her people would leave a wounded mate behind. A weak male wasn't worth saving. But Eric wasn't weak, and she wasn't leaving. She stood up. Her side still hurt from the crash. But she ignored it. She pulled a spear from the dirt and grabbed a pouch made of woven leaves. I'll come back, she whispered to Eric. I promise. Then she ran. Hours passed. The jungle was alive with strange sounds, red-eyed birds, worms the size of her leg, trees that hissed when she passed. But she didn't stop. Not when thorns ripped her skin. Not when she fell into a pit of slime. Not when her muscles screamed at her to turn back. She had one thought. Save Eric. At last, she found it. A pool of glowing water, hidden behind a wall of living vines. This was the place Eric had once told her about, an oasis marked on his old survival map from the ship. He called it Plan B. She had laughed at the name. Now she cried as she knelt beside the water. Inside it, silver mushrooms floated. Eric had said, these things eat poison like it's candy, probably gross. Might save your life. She grabbed as many as she could. Vines above hissed and tried to grab her. She slashed them away. She didn't care if she got hurt. He had protected her. Now it was her turn. Back at the shelter, Eric didn't move. His chest rose once, then stopped. Rila skidded into camp, covered in mud and blood. No, don't you dare give up, she shouted. She crushed the mushrooms into water and poured it into his mouth. Swallow, she begged. Please, just swallow. Nothing. Come on, Eric. You're the human. You're supposed to be the strong one. Tears streamed down her face. She gripped his hand. I can't. I don't know how to be without you. Still. Nothing. She lowered her forehead to his chest. Then a heartbeat. Then another. Then he gasped. His eyes opened slowly. Rila? He croaked. She laughed and cried at the same time. You idiot. You scared me. You came back, he said. I told you I would. You did the impossible. She leaned down. Only because you taught me how. That night, Eric sat by the fire, weak but alive. Rila fed him carefully. You saved me, he said. She smiled. I learned from the best. But your people would've left you behind, she finished. But I'm not them anymore. Eric looked at her. Then who are you? She paused. I'm someone who protects her mate, even when it hurts. Deep in the jungle, the Watchers returned. The small alien tribe, the ones who had seen them before, gathered again. But now, they were not hiding. They stepped into the firelig. Eric and Rila stood up quickly. But the leader, an elder with bark-like skin, raised his hands. You saved each other, he said in a strange accent. That is rare. You are welcome here. Later that night, Eric and Rila stood together, surrounded by the gentle hum of jungle life and new friends. Eric looked at her. We're not just surviving anymore. Rila nodded. We're building. He reached for her hand. She held his tightly. They had both broken the rules. And because of that, they were free. The sky cracked open with a roar. A giant warship, black and shaped like a claw, descended from the clouds, blocking out the sun. Its engines hummed like a storm. Its weapons glowed. The jungle shook. The peace Eric and Rila had built was about to end. Inside the shelter, the young alien girl stood frozen, eyes wide with fear. It's them, she whispered. My father found us. Eric stepped forward, gripping a spear, not to attack, but to stand tall. If he came to destroy us, we'll show him what we became. Rila looked at him, heart pounding. She once thought human males were soft, weak, prey. But now she was ready to die beside one. The warship landed just beyond the trees, Smoke hissed from its sides. A ramp unfolded, marching in perfect lines. Dozens of elite alien warriors emerged, led by the High Fang himself, Rila's father. He wore golden armor. His face was cold, sharp, powerful. Behind him, chains dragged along the ground meant for Eric. The message was clear: surrender or suffer. Eric and Rila stepped out to meet them. But they weren't alone. The jungle tribe, small, strange creatures with bark skin and glowing eyes, stood beside them. Unarmed, but unafraid, the elder stepped forward. They are part of us now. The High Fang growled, step aside, tree rat. I came for the traitor and the human. Eric spoke loud and calm. I'm not your enemy. You stole my daughter. I didn't steal anything. She made her choice. Rila raised her voice. I chose him. I chose love. The High Fang laughed, bitter and cruel. Love, that's a human disease. We conquer, we feed, we rule. Rila stepped between him and Eric. Then maybe it's time someone stops you. The tension in the air cracked like lightning. Guards raised weapons. Jungle warriors readied their spears. Eric whispered, we can't win a war. Rila whispered back, then let's win something bigger. She stepped forward, unarmed. I challenge the old law, she declared. Let the world see a new way. Her father growled, you're not worthy to speak. I am, she said, because I didn't kill the one who loved me. I protected him, I saved him. And he saved me. She turned to the warriors. All of you were taught that males are prey, but he showed me strength I'd never known. He didn't conquer me, he stood with me. Some of the warriors looked uneasy, others lowered their weapons just slightly. High Fang roared and raised his blade. If no one else will strike, then I will. He charged forward, but Eric stepped into his path. The two clashed. One was trained in war, the other in survival. The fight was fast, brutal. Eric ducked a swing, slammed his shoulder into the Fang's chest, and knocked him down. But he didn't finish him. Instead, he stood tall. I'm not your enemy, Eric said again. But I won't let you take her. The High Fang looked up, bleeding, stunned. He had never been spared before. Not once. Rila helped her father to his feet. You don't have to rule with fear, she said quietly. You could lead with something else. He looked at her, this daughter who had once followed his every command. Now, she followed her heart. And maybe that made her stronger than him. He stepped back, said nothing, then turned away. One by one, the warriors followed him. The ship lifted off without another word. That night, under the stars, Rila and Eric sat together by the fire. The jungle was peaceful again. The elder from the native tribe sat nearby, carving the symbol into a stone. It means unity, he said. We'll place it at the edge of the forest. Rila leaned her head on Eric's shoulder. I thought love was weakness, she said. But I was wrong. Eric smiled. Love is the strongest thing we've got. She turned to him, serious. Now, if I asked to be yours, would you say yes? He nodded. Without a doubt. Months later, a small home stood near the jungle's edge. Wooden walls, a roof made from ship metal, plants growing on the sides. Inside, two people laughed while cooking strange jungle fruit. Outside, a young alien child chased a small earth dog through the trees. This wasn't Earth. It wasn't Rila's planet either, but it was home, a place built not from fear, but from choice. From trust. From love.